including North Country as well.
And what was the time frame?
It was up to 600 hours.
So when I looked at the data that you sent out, the reports that you sent out, it showed an average. But if there's one record that's an like 6-month outlier, that would skew the average
Correct.
time for that agency. So my recommendation would be, as we move forward with those reports, because I think they are very helpful, maybe pulling out the outliers over a specific time frame, and then doing an accurate average of how long it's really taking, and maybe a mean score as well, rather than just, bucket listing,
Yeah.
the average.
So what I've actually done, because I'm on the same page as you with this, is we monthly will be getting a report now of any charts that take greater than 4 hours to complete. And then the ones that are extreme circumstances, it'll be listed by agency. The run number, we'll be able to go in and actually look at it. On the North Country side, we are the ones who handle that. On the Mountain Lake side, we will contact the agency leadership and the medical director to say, hey, we've got a problem here. We're seeing a trend with this. Some of the chart systems will pull over providers, so we can give a little bit more information that maybe this is a provider specific issue or this is an agency wide issue.
You may find that's a lot to chew to start with. 24 hours, maybe.
Oh, I had over 1,000 calls.
Right, to start up with agencies at, over a 24-hour
Yeah.
mark. And then, as people improve and the times get better, cut it back down to, 12 hours and then maybe 4 hours. You're going to have
Oh, there's a lot.
I know. I can imagine.
So
Just a
we,
suggestion.
yeah, can you slideshow it again? So it's in progress, and we're working our way through it and getting to where it should be. So the EPCR schematron update was done on 1/1/24. All EPCR vendors will be switching over their agencies by the 1st of July. That is not a flexible date. That is the date it has to happen on. The big push for this NEMSIS 3.5 is, for a while, the pendulum had swung way too far to one side, and as I like to say, garbage in, garbage out. We were collecting tons of data, but none of it was really meaningful, and it just was a fire hose of data. So the pendulum is now kind of swung back to more of a middle ground where we're gonna collect basically the NEMSIS required fields and a couple additional items, see what kind of information that does give us to work from, and then build from there versus just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks. Next slide. So we got PAD, usage, reports received, none, new applications, none. We got updates from Washington County for 7 locations and the Hartford Central School District, and those are the quarterly reports we received. New BLS iGel applicants that have been sent through: Malone, Foothills, Moira, and Elizabethtown Lewis. Upcoming classes that we've been notified. So Clinton Community College with their 3, North Country Community College with their original and refresher, and Queensberry EMS with their original and a full refresher and challenge. Next. Talking fast, so we get to Dr. Bombard.
It's all good.
PEC, so pre-hospital emergency care coordinators. If your agency doesn't have one, we really strongly recommend that you do. There's a survey that can be found on our website that they have pushed out. Even if you're not the PEC person for your agency, it's still important to do that survey. And it's not just for hospitals. We stressed at the REMAC meeting too, that it's very important that the hospitals have a PEC administrator too, just for that continuity of care. They know what EMS is being taught in the field to deal with these pediatric patients, and it just hopefully makes it flow a little nicer. Training in ed. So we have the learning management system. That's the website for it. We've recently added snow and dirt. It still hurts in all terrain trauma. We've added a lab values lecture for EMS providers. We are working on a geriatric 1 hour lecture because we've identified that in the system and in our providers, a lot of people are asking for more geriatric based courses. So it's important, like, if you think there's something that we're lacking and we need, please let us know, because we will work towards that. And then we are working on, I say we, it's really Amanda, is working on a BLS pharmacology learning path. So the cool thing with our learning management system that we can offer is we can offer micro series. So we can take all of those BLS drugs and break them down into little 15-minute videos. So you're not having to sit there and watch the entire thing and dedicate tons of time. You can do the learning path and it'll be BLS Narcan, BLS albuterol, and just work your way through those 15-minute videos. And then at the end of it, you'll get a certificate that gives you credit for all of it. That will satisfy the CME requirements. The one thing that, and we brought this up at the REMAC, that we're working on too, is also an ALS pharmacology. That one, we're having a little bit more of a tough time figuring out how to approach it by either drug use or by class, and which way would be better. On June 27th, we'll be doing a first responder child abuse training webinar at 4 p.m. We'll be sending out registration information for that. It'll be a webinar.
It must be recorded and be uploaded to the LMS after.
And then we are working on planning a Mountain Lakes Education Day for September. We've talked to Scott and trying to figure out a date that we can use NCC. That's right, college, right? Okay. To utilize their facility, and then we'll offer a day of CME things. It'll either be hands-on skilled or some didactic lecture time, but something to get us over here more. And then Spring Fling 2025 will be April 10th, 11th, and 12th. And before we go into this, and I should have done it at the REMAC meeting, you may or may not know, we had some staffing changes at the office and we've been down staff. But Amanda Slate, who was our former admin from the Watertown office, is now our clinical coordinator. She's filling that void. So she is really taking the charge on all our LMS initiatives, and also is the driver of the CQI initiative. So I'm going to let her talk.
So we're continuing to do the monthly CQI. High call volume agencies are getting chosen quarterly with a max of 5 charts, and low call volume agencies will be selected once throughout the year with 5 charts.
The number's wrong on the slide.
Yeah, it's fine. If they have 5 charts. The monthly reports, we're still sending those out to make sure that the number of PCRs that your agency generated matches what was uploaded to the state bridge. We did not get to April due to staffing changes and Spring Fling, but March, May will be coming out soon. So for the first quarter of the year, I reviewed 265 charts, 136 were from Mountain Lakes, and 129 were from the North Country. So this, the blue line is a combination of both regions, and then the orange line is Mountain Lakes. Across the board, there are some problem areas, specifically with assessments. I don't know, and it was brought up at REMAC that assessments might not be being pulled over, but it's even in image trend agencies. There's no assessments. There's no like dropped out assessment. There's no assessment in the narrative. And if there is an assessment, it's like the patient's alert and oriented. There's no like difficulty breathing. There's no lung stem assessment. Like there are a lot of grammatical errors in charts. So we just want to remind people that they are legal documents. And if you have a lot of spelling errors, you're going to get eaten alive in court. Make sure people are always documenting interventions. And I am tracking some things that I think are mapping issues between software vendors, whether it's uploaded to the state bridge. So once I compile that list, I'm reaching out to those software vendors to get that fixed. And then I just finished May's overview. I did 81 charts, 49 from Mountain Lakes and 32 from the North Country. And then the trend is about the same.
And the big thing too, like when we do this, like we are reviewing narratives to look for assessments. We are diving into that stuff. And it's not to be thought of as punitive or we're doing it to come after people or anything like that. Our big stance on CQI, which has often been thought of as a horrible three-letter word, is it's an education opportunity. It's an opportunity to make better providers and make ourselves better providers. Out of it, we're actually going to develop a training to put on our learning management system called The Good, Bad, and the Ugly on documentation. And we're going to actually use some of the narratives that we found, and is this a good narrative? Is this a bad narrative? And educate on that, because some of them are cardiac arrest calls and it's 2 sentences in the narrative and they worked it. And you're not getting anything else. And that's a little concerning. You want to talk about these? 'Cause it's all
We
for your
approved
reads. Yep, they were all
They're
approved.
forwarded, but they're forwarded.
Yes, they're forwarded.
I have nothing else to say about that. We approved all these.
They
So,
come
yes.
forth as a
We
forwarded
have
second
to-
motion.
Oh. I don't need to introduce that motion to you. You have to read, don't you have to read what happened with these agencies and then we vote on?
Yes, they were all approved for their extensions. And the 3-month extensions from the last meeting were approved as well. So they come forth as a seconded motion from the REMAC for your approval.
Correct. Everybody understand that? Anybody have any questions? There were no concerns, no, the medical directors from the agencies, with the exception of Dr. Mulvey, she was not present, but Dr. Hahn was her proxy. And they reported that there were no issues with any of these agencies. And they all felt comfortable with approving their ALS and their 3-month extensions. And so they come forward as a forwarded motion. Any discussion? Any questions? We need a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right. The second one for the 3 years.
Do we want to lump them all as one or do them?
Did they lump them all as one? I believe they
Yes.
did.
They did one as a 2-year and one as a 3.
Did they?
As a, yeah, it was 2.
So then the second group, the 3-month extension that are now approved, comes forth as a seconded motion from the REMAC for your approval. All in favor? Any against? Perfect. Next. So the Matters program, so this is a new initiative that FDRHPO has taken on. So it is, Matters facilitates rapid referrals for individuals with substance use disorder by connecting participating referral sites, receiving treatment organizations, peer support agencies, and pharmacies all in one efficient process. It's telemedicine, actually. It's pretty great. So individuals are connected to an outpatient treatment organization of their choice and are seen in as little as 24 hours from the time that they make the referral. EMS agencies can participate in this by becoming either a referral site or by simply just participating in the Leave Behind program that we are starting through FDRHPO. In the Leave Behind program, it is just a little plastic baggie with 2 doses of 4 milligrams of Narcan, fentanyl test strips, xylazine test strips, and a fact sheet of how to get help with a QR code on the back of it that they can scan, and it walks them through the process of how to get help. The Leave Behind program is what a lot of the North Countryside agencies have opted into, because then they don't feel like they're trying to preach to this person about going to rehab that they've seen 17 times in 1 week. By leaving it behind, they could just leave it on the counter when they walk out the door and be on their merry way. And if that person takes the step to use it, it's there for them. So the other thing that we do though, through FDRHPO, and we are really happy to expand this now into the Mountain Lakes region, is we do a free naloxone program for first responders. I know Franklin County, I think, does something similar to this. Originally, it was specific to Jefferson, Lewis, and St. Lawrence County, but we've talked to Dr. Bombard and Dr. Delaney, who is the medical director on that side of, under Dr. Delaney's license, expanding to this side, just to provide that service to everyone. So if anybody wants to participate in the naloxone program or in the Matters program, just contact our office. We will make sure that we can get the supplies to you. We'll mail it to you. We'll make a delivery. I'll send it to Zach and make him get out of the office and do something.
And it's nasal Narcan.
Yes, it's nasal Narcan, 4 milligrams nasal Narcan. So if you are interested in that, please contact our office. The more we can get it out there, the better. The Matters program has blown up in the southern part of the state, and they really want to get a good hold up here.
So in the Matters program, is that resources in our region or the state region? Or,
It would be in your region.
and you have that hooked up already?
They have it hooked up already.
I understood.
Yeah, we're just helping facilitate and get people signed up.
The Matters, just like everybody else, has an app, right? And it
What?
gives you like, it has an app. It's in the App Store, it's free. It's called Matters Blue. And you can, but there's like 4 choices at the beginning of the app. One of them is I'm a first responder. If you hit that, it also gives you choices of refer a patient, request test strips, or request telemedicine evaluation, and away you go. So, you know, anybody can download this app and get yourself right out of the blocks. It's a pretty cool program.
Yeah.
Originated in the Rochester area. They reached out like through the CMAC and through lots of organizations to like, who are the contact people in your area? Who are the clinics, blah, blah, blah. So they have a fairly decent country network of clinics that are participating.
And if there's anyone in there that is not a part of their network, they would be more than happy to reach out to that facility and get them signed up. They've been very, very proactive in getting
They
facilities.
must be
signed up.
well staffed because they're doing really well.
Yeah. I don't know if it's they're well staffed or they just don't have anything else to do,
I
but
don't
they
know.
are just
Okay.
going.
I mean, yeah, it's a good program.
That's a weird question.
All right, any other question or any questions for the program agency?
Do you have pens and mouse pads over here? If you would like one, please take them. I don't want to give them.
Free stuff, thank you.
Conflict of interest forms and whistleblower policies, some people turned them in already. If not, they were in your meeting materials. I also have paper copies here too, if it's easier to just catch you before you leave. Get with me on that stuff, I guess. Then just agency.
Okay, so agencies and listed medical directors updates, so, there are some massive discrepancies between what the state has listed for agency medical directors, what we have listed for agencies for their medical directors, and what agencies have listed as their medical directors. So we are, gonna be working with the REMAC docs to get this squared away. We'll be sending them a packet of, these are who we have listed as your agencies. If they're not your agencies, please tell us and we will fix it. And we're gonna get everything, we will handle doing most of the legwork. The only thing that you will likely have to do is the agencies will actually have to do is the actual submittal to the state to catch it all up, through the portal. The real one that causes us concern is if it's an ALS operating agency and the doctor they have on their narcotics agreement with B&E doesn't match who their current, they think medical director is, we could run into some problems there. And the agency could, and we don't want to see that. So we are, hopefully by the end of the week, Zach and I will have everything out to the agency medical directors and to the agencies to just make sure everything is right. And then we'll get it submitted.
So how does that work operationally? So we have a medical director that's today signing my narcotics and we send it off. And in 6 months, he leaves. We fill out the paperwork for the new medical director. They get approved. We send it into the state. Do we also have to then update the narcotics. Is that the piece that's missing? Are
Mhm.
agencies not, or just assuming that the state is.
I think
crossing
it's all
over
the
the
same.
medical directorship?
You have to submit new paperwork for control substance.
Yeah, and I think
That's
it's
probably
assumed.
right,
People are
yeah.
assuming.
New
Yeah.
controlled substance agent and
Same
So-
with if you're in the CME research program, that's another medical director form that has to get filled out. So there's a lot of like different little
Right,
various
but
pieces.
if you change your medical director, I wonder if agencies are thinking, I'm submitting my medical director change that should automatically cross over to the narcotics, but that's probably.
And in a
why that's-
perfect world,
Yeah.
it would.
But it's New York State.
So that's all I have on that. Dr. Bumpard, REMAC.
Oh, VMAC. We approved 3 new docs for the REMAC, which is pretty exciting. Mike Durso, who's doing the Champlain area folks. Lots of agencies actually for Dr. Durso. I'm hearing good things about him. If you'd like to tell me good things, I'd like to hear more good things. If you'd like to tell me bad things, I don't want to hear it, but I will. Happy to. No, he's great. I think he's gonna work out awesome. Dr. Molly Furin is taking Morrisonville. And so she's a new doc to us, and Dr. Fred Laporte is going to take over, sounds like Saranac Lake and Tupper Lake and Paul Smith's Long Lake, all those guys over there. So he was approved too, so that was pretty cool. New blood, yay!
Can I chime in real quick on the whole, Long Lake, the Hamilton County agencies?
Yeah,
So I found in the records where there was an MOU signed between Arums and Mountain Lakes to have them come under Mountain Lakes. But Arums doesn't exist essentially anymore, so I think we need to approach Remo and have the same kind of, if we're going to still have those agencies kind of reporting into this region, we'll need to come up with some language between their new region and Mountain Lakes to make that.
but you need to take that on.
unless they're dying to take Long Lake.
I can take care of it. I can do all the paperwork and get that rolling.
Maybe we should ask Long
Yeah.
Lake and Blue Mountain
You
Lake
wanna
if they
stay?
want to go. Yeah, exactly, because they're kind of in no man's land down there. And I
Yeah.
think Indian Lake is in Remo. But their next door neighbors are not. And I mean, we're happy to take care of them.
Yeah.
But they might want an opinion.
True.
Right? That's only fair.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
They don't transport to us, right? You don't transport it.
They go to Glens
Glens
Falls,
Falls.
and that's what
And they go to
I think
Adams.
was initially the.
So they do.
Should be a stretch for removal.
Election of chair, I'm the chair, sorry. UVM transport guidelines got approved, Malone transport guidelines amidst much kerfuffle did not. However, I'm going to need your help. What got decided at the REMAC is that the REMAC docs wanted us to do some version of regional interfacility transport protocol system. This is gonna be interesting. We've never done this before, but what they wanted us to do was create a committee of agency representatives, you, with some docs, and sit down and make some interfacility protocol, transport protocols for the region that could be used by anybody. Now, obviously, any transport protocol that your agency uses would have to be approved by your agency medical director, right? The region can't write interfacility protocol for the region and then just say, everybody, this is the dealio. That's not how it's structured. Like, we have no authority to do that. In fact, it's contestable whether the region can say anything about interfacility protocols at all. But traditionally, in the past, we have run like agency interfacility transport protocol, IFTs, through the REMAC for approval. So we did that again today. The REMAC said, no, we want to do this with some sort of regional context so that we don't have like Saranac Lake with one set of protocols and Millennium Mass with another.
I think that needs to come from the facilities though. So this board, maybe doesn't necessarily represent those hospitals in
That's not what the REMAC asked for, though. The REMAC asked for.
The agency, they wanted a
Based on-
subcommittee, though, based upon the agency leadership,
i.e. the transport agencies.
correct?
Yep, which is you guys. essentially.
Not necessarily.
Well,
I mean, see, you know, who's here representing?
There's
the,
an
transport?
interfacility transport protocol in the region, in the state collaborative protocols, is there not?
No,
Yes, there, 100% is.
so
Okay.
I agree with Dr. Broderick. This was definitely talked about years ago. And I think something was set up. And then I think it gave way to the other protocols at the state level. So I think that's the problem, but no, there are not. And I think what you're seeing are different transport agencies right now even are doing different
Yeah.
protocols. So after the meeting, I kind of asked around a little bit. And there are definitely transport agencies that are following extra drugs and stuff like that.
I thought there was like a general.
there's
protocol.
But it's nothing to do
Yeah.
with like non-protocol.
Can you take this med? Yes, if you're equipped and trained, was how it used to be. Like for ECH, that's how it is. If you're equipped and trained, I can take this med on the transport. It's not.
If you're equipped and trained, and that's the key word.
Yeah.
It's the training that is the key word here. It's not. So you can put any med on your rig if you wanted to, but the reality is with your medical director's approval, problem is where do you get your training from and how do we validate the training? And it's the training that becomes the problem. How do we make sure that everybody who's taking the transport that's taking that drug knows how to use it? That's the dilemma. And so I think that if you stick to that concept of you carry it and you're trained in it, or you at least have access to it and you're trained in it, then we can easily validate your being able to take the drug. But if we don't get validate your training, how do we do that?
Well, and it says in the collaborative protocols too, two things. Each region may indicate specific medications or medication types that providers may transport without hospital personnel. But it also says in the final bullet point, regions may have more extensive procedures governing interfacility transports. So you can have stricter rules in the state, but you can have more lenient rules in the state, which that's just standard government.
So anyway, we're all gonna be seeing an email from Zach asking for volunteers to be on this subcommittee so that we can go some regional interfacility transport protocols. RSI. RSI is, some of you know, is still sort of stuck in the same place. We thought we had this problem solved last year. Bruce, when Bruce was the course director of the Elizabethtown program, he had put through a course number to the state and gotten approval for a CME class. That really the idea, and it was approved, there was a course number associated and the ECH program was going to do the liability coverage for it, right? So they were going to sponsor it. The idea was that we don't make paramedics into students, but we do make paramedics into students, right? We funnel our paramedics into the same process that we were using for our paramedic students. And we were able to get you to the ORs to get intubation practice. We were going to use the same structure that we were using for the medical program, which has been extremely successful in placing people. We were having no trouble getting students into the ORs, so that component was probably going to be fine. Then we lost Bruce. So we're starting to rebuild this with Josh Leduc, who is the current program director. He is happy to do it. He's enthusiastic. I don't think it's going to be an issue, except that he's brand new and he has a mountain of stuff to do on his desk. So it's not going to happen tomorrow. But I think it's going to happen. I hope it's going to happen. I want it to happen, but I don't have further information than that. All right. What else are we missing from the REMAC? I think that was about it. Yeah, I don't think I have further. CMAC, oh, more me. What? Med standards, you talked about iGel already.
Yep.
I'm going to.
It's going really, really well.
iGel is cool. The Medical Standards Committee established a tag for blood products administration, which is tied up at the New York State Legislature, but everything's sort of crafted, and the idea is that this group will make up the education and education standards for giving blood products during 911 ground transport. So that's the goal. We just want to be prepared to just unleash this if and when the legislature approves us. There was inquiry, I guess, from the New York State Legislature to the CMAC looking for advice on nalmefene, which is a long-acting naloxone. It's a long-acting and stronger and better and angrier naloxone. And our response to them was no. No, we should not do this. Partially built on the New York State Police did an informal study over the last year where they took 3 of their troops and gave them 8 milligram nasal naloxone atomizers, and then the rest of the regions used just the regular 4 milligram. They compared outcomes at the end of the year. Both groups were 99% successful in survival as outcome. Both groups had pretty significant withdrawal symptoms, but the withdrawal symptoms in the 8 milligram naloxone group were much worse. Not surprising. The other concern was, and I'm not sure how they measured this, but the feeling was that after receiving the 8 milligram naloxone, the patients were much more likely to go and use alone without anybody with them as a backup, because they did not want this resuscitation because it was so violent. They had a lot more vomiting and just a lot more violent wake up with the bigger dose. We said, well, if a big dose is bad, a bigger, stronger medication doing the same thing will probably be worse. Let's not do this. One quote that was used several times in this discussion was really appealing to me. I'm going to pass it on to you. And that was, when you're teaching about naloxone, the goal is respiration, not conversation, which we all know, right? This is nobody's first day in here. We've all given our share of naloxone. But when you're passing, your wisdom about naloxone onto somebody else, I thought that was catchy and really made a lot of sense. And it's what, I've spent paragraphs of time trying to teach that to people, but that's really where I was going. I think that when we teach new providers, it's a nice one. So respiration, not conversation. And that was really all the interesting stuff from med standards. CMAC, we have 63 which students in the current CC to paramedic bridge, which is a pretty big uptick from the last past few classes, probably in response to the new 2027 deadline. But that's good, right? More people bridging is a good thing. We talked about PEC, we talked about the National EMSC survey. Amy Eisenhower's EMSC position is open. So if you want to be the New York State EMSC person, that's a job opening. That's pretty cool. You get to travel a lot and teach people about kids and do kid safety and stuff. It's neato. It's a grant funded position, but it's a neat position. And you also become part of the Bureau of EMS staff, obviously. There are 2 paid 12-month fellowship positions at the Bureau of EMS. So if that's interesting to you or to some of your newer providers, that's something to know. And there's also a pediatric medication safety survey that I'll let John talk about a little more, because I think he did a better job than me. About hand tubby.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all I have.
Yes, so Dr. Oh gosh, I can't remember her
I
last
don't
name.
remember her name either.
She's from the REMSCO region. And they did a CQI study that basically showed that they were misdosing pediatric patients. So the region, Melrem's region, bought hand heavy for the entire region to see if that would change the dosaging and the issues. And they've seen a dramatic turnaround in misdosaging and items like that. So we have met with, her first name's Molly, I just can't think of her last name. And we've met with her at the program agency, and we're gonna be working with the state to build us similar reports for both the North Country and Mountain Lakes regions to help identify things like that and see how we can move meaningfully forward to address these issues and try to have some real measurable changes and better patient outcomes. REMSCO, so they're looking for, or working on some more blood guidelines in an orientation or we're looking for new blood, sorry, I can't read, and a new orientation program for EMS structure. In education, there was 5.2 million spent last year, but they're seeing that no one is really taking advantage of the EMS innovation education funding. And the state is really starting to do a big push to core sponsors for academy style classes. And going to start really pushing on that.
Understands what an academy style classes, so like you're doing 5 days a week, basically. Or however long it takes you to complete your course, which for most of us doesn't really work terribly well. I think because we all have to maintain jobs in addition to that.
Yeah. They did push to spend $150,000 from the AIDS to Localities Fund to fund the CARES program, which is a cardiac management program. And that is a statewide initiative that will start being rolled out. We have a new state staff. He's on the call, Vinny Weemat. He is formerly the program agency director from Mid-State and now is with the state. And then Melissa is helping oversee while they work on filling the person who will work from Watertown, but will cover North Country and Mountain Lakes region. So Melissa, Alex, and Vinny will be covering the North Country, Mountain Lakes region until that changes. The blood bill for ambulance to carry blood, Assembly Bill A 5789 is gaining some momentum. The session closes next week or within the next week or so. So there's a lot of big push, and we've been sending out some stuff for NYSFERA through our listserv to have agencies and leadership push for that. TIP and TAD should also be pushed. That's for payments to transport for treatment in place and alternative destinations. The state pushed out an advisory for LifePak 15s, Philips and Zoll monitors, their pediatric pads, with the big push of you really should not be buying just a generic replacement pad, go with the vendor specific pads, or there could be some issues with the amount of charge delivered. Storm, what am I missing? You were there too.
And what?
What am I missing?
I don't think it much of anything.
So next is New York State DOH and BEMS report. So I see Director Greenberg is here, and Melissa and Vinny and Alex. So does anybody want to say anything? Please don't all unmute as once.
Give me 1 minute here. Or Vinny or Melissa, if you want to go first. I just need a minute to get to a place where I can talk.
I guess I'll start. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, say hello. My name's Vinny. I just started with the state last week. I'll be working with Jonathan closely as I did in my previous role as the program agency director. So just want to introduce myself, and you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. And Jonathan has my contact information.
I'm here too. I just unmuted 17 times. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I was double muted. I didn't know if you could hear me or not. Jonathan also has my contact information. I assist Vinny as he's going through his welcome to the state new hire stuff. Alex is usually who you contact. So we help him out as well because we do the rest of the North Country. So we all help each other. So whatever you need. And there's Ryan.
Hi, everyone. Ryan, I assist Melissa and Vinny on anything that they need, and they just tell me what they need, and then I help them. But I just wanted to reach out and say happy EMS week to everybody, and thank you for for your service and everything. Very much appreciated, and your participation and at state meetings and things like that. It's really important to have the representation so that we hear all the concerns and everything around the state. We are working hard to try and resolve issues. And I heard you talk about the academy programs and things like that. Again, we have 5 or 6 different pilot programs to try and help with some of the challenges that we're facing. We are not seeing participation in it. And the interesting part is that we'll say, well, I had no idea that you even had those programs. So trying to figure out how to get the word out, understanding, things like the academy program, it's not for every area or every person, but it is, it does serve a certain population and kind of goal in training people over, 8 to 12 weeks opposed to, 4 to 6 months. So just again, looking at different options, looking at ways to, allow us to pay for people who aren't members of a department, but, may become a member of your department if they, if the course is free and they got into EMS. So a lot of just different opportunities that are there. And then obviously we're always looking for feedback on what else you want, what else we can help with, in supporting our REMSCOs, supporting our program agencies, as well as our program agencies supporting the REMSCOs and the REMSCOs supporting our program agencies is, a critical component of this whole system working is that, working hand in hand and watching that collaboration happen and the resources and pooling ideas and, without that, then we're, back at square one and everyone's in a silo and doing their own thing and recreating the wheel over and over again. And so really trying to break down some of those barriers. So that's about it. There's a ton of really exciting stuff going on at the state level. Although, we made it into the budget, although we weren't in the budget at the end. The momentum that has gotten is tremendous. So we're excited to see. I think there's 7 or 8 different bills in this House and the Senate, right, or the Assembly and the Senate right now, all related to EMS. So we'll watch as these last 2 weeks, see what makes it through. Is it blood? Is it essential service? Is it, tax caps or whatever it might be? Either way, people are talking about EMS. A great page to follow, if you don't follow it, is New York State Association of Counties is really tracking a lot of the EMS initiatives that are going on. And so you can kind of see a summary of each of the bills and track where they're at and everything else there. So if you're looking for any of that, if you can't find it, feel free to reach out to myself or Vinny or Melissa or any of us or Alex. We're happy to, kind of put things out there or things like that. So, just a lot of good stuff going on. Just a reminder from inspection point of view, and we spoke about this at state councils, it's like we're out of COVID and now we are, very much back out looking at things. And it seems like we're seeing the same issues over and over again in repetitive issues when we go to do full service inspections or even spot inspections. So, please just take a look at your files, take a look at the equipment on your truck, take a look at, expiration dates and things like that. Feel free to talk to, I would say Vinny's a little bit too new, but Melissa or Alex, they can absolutely, we will share with you, what we're seeing repetitively as issues over and over again. The goal is not to see those issues, so we are happy to share the knowledge. Just a reminder, full service inspections are like an open book test. We've told you what the questions are ahead of time, and then we just come and validate it. So, no surprises. We're not trying to get anyone. We want everybody to be the best that they can and be able to performing great things. And then just lots of, good stuff going on. So we had Part S that passed last year, and we're seeing some of that stuff come to fruition now related to different initiatives and different things to be able to support different areas, including, the state task force and different things from that function. So we're excited to, kind of see those things move forward and make good progress on it. And yeah, so a lot of good things going on. We were underspent in our training budget this year. We're going to hopefully spend every last dollar this coming year. We think we got some good things going on to make that happen, including we are working on some paramedic scholarship initiatives in order to put more paramedics into each of the regions. Just a reminder, I think this is an important one. So although you share a program agency, anything that's a regional initiative would still be at that regional level. So in other words, if we are looking, if it goes through the way that it's proposed, to do two paramedic scholarships per region. So Mountain Lakes would get to, and North Country would get to, even though you have one program agency. I know that's a pretty common question that I get asked related to that dynamic of how does that work. So, it's always, per region, any of those initiatives that come or funding that goes out. There's recruitment and retention funding that will also be going out. We're going to be tying that to the program agency contracts. However, they are REMSCO initiatives. So again, each REMSCO would get it. Just the funding would go through the program agency in order to do recruitment and retention in your area and to try something new, something different, something that you think would help in order to entice people and keep people in EMS or recruit people to EMS. So lots of good stuff coming. Thanks for a few minutes of your time. Thanks for everything that you do. Thanks for serving on the council. And if there's any questions that I can answer about anything, let me know.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, thanks.
It's a weird page divide, so give me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Is it aeronautical?
Yep.
Okay. Aeronautical reports. Colleen, are you still I don't think she is. But LifeNet didn't really have much of a report other than they can transport with Lucas devices now. And that was really all she had, and UVA or UVM didn't have much different, and so we can scoot through that. County coordinators reports. Clinton?
So we're doing an active shooter